Hello, everybody. This is a Little Rap Guy and Friends update. As a YouTube cartoon, Little Rap Guy and Friends, you say. I said the world news, world topics. Little Rap Guy and Friends are more serious. You'll know I'm using the hyper evidential black pupils. We will not ignore any longer how fake science has got away with acting like they don't realize. For example, with New York City sickly distinctly from the suburbs, sickly distinctly from Hartford, Connecticut, for example. The suburbs were designed before our founders were born for their torture, for their extortion, and for their slavery. We were supposed to begin with honesty towards the extortion of George Washington, which brings up the torture method and the nature enslavement method. Otherwise, that body was censored, including if as a group, including as countries. Suits and ties needed counters, but as collusion still, and with the exceptions, collusion still too. Real science shows that names A through Z were employed by nature, were assigned by nature, are functional by nature, are value to nature. Nature being the extent of its complete identity that we could see, we could discern. It inseparable from all things. Well, not, but anyway, anyway. Vaccines. Just these. All things. Adding to the sound good or not. So, Little Rap Guy and friends are charged with counter extortion of New York City, of Hartford, and of the neighboring suburbs and nations. And they are already in the cartoon value nature system, but they are already extorted since semi ancient times, since before modern religion's messengers were even born. The names of the sciences, too, therefore, the names of their stewards, have been taken to abridged uses of that self value. Otherwise, that person was sensed. In other words, regardless of motivations, too. And so, I am not a lawyer, I'm not a police form, I'm not a criminal, I'm not a licensed journalist. The reason they have they're supposed to have licenses, they have to get licenses to be a journalist and take oaths, is so they don't, not just so they don't lie, because they are directed to lie. Locations, areas, and states stayed criminally foreign influenced. They stayed speaking for the law, black pupils. When, and how we have black pupils and knew all along they have been speaking, for example, for emotions, their own and others, fake. They have been putting fake transcripts in databases, whole fake descriptions of behavior. You have behavior racketeering with all these countries. That's just one thing concentrated, though. Forgiveness is to show the collusions of not just the three branches of government, intelligence, the difference of that is also used. But every way the breaching method uses at each modern country, this is manifest. This is not just to make fun of them. In other words, nature is making fun of them. They're going to be at the back of bombs. And this is about uses of words like we. All because I have to try explain it. In other words, we have the suburbs that were designed before our founders were born. No one has spoken about intelligence properly. They take all sides of issues. The only people, then they use other people's words in their formal definitions of them, like war crimes, black pupils. New York City is manifest demonstration of all kinds of war crimes ongoing. Black pupils, black. See the whites of eyes. See, you guys can't even have a mature discussion about theories with that might have more deeper meaning. Obviously, it did. To an extent, we know. Excuse me. If we tell no lies, don't value lies told by others. Don't value our truths told used for lies. Don't use truths for lies. Revelations reveal. And so the hyper theater, I'll donate a hyper theater to certain scripts to be shared by the countries, so they could do a exercise that gains value rather than costing, because this is not to further the suit and tie fake systems tactical ulterior. This is to be led by the extent we have to discern the identity of the hyper simultaneous, its identity of relationship to itself, and the only increasing value of that, as would generated three identities of zero connected. And then came math, boxing, martial arts, and wrestling. They share an identity. They share the identity the scientists share. What I put? So before our founders were born, North and South entrenched was a torture, extortion, slavery method. Black pupils. This came from semi-ancient times to increasingly disguise what nature is demonstrating to us. And where we begin with theory is not being told honest by the names of the sciences from all campuses. This began and stayed. Many prayed, boxings, and all, the reason we're supposed to have religious rights is so we could discern if there's a nature or acts syntactically against the Constitution on the bridge. So we're dealing with the invisible / hyper invisible, where and how we are dealing with reason, logic, relativity. See, we have people with theories on relativity and with uses of names like the name of, what's his name? The guy involved with bombs, no. Einstein. There is an identity of relativity / hyperrelativity. And it's how it shows itself. Functional. It is the identity that is as what we are appreciating. Where and how to appreciate where we are and how we appreciate verbs. We appreciate 7 names for a verb, not one. Because identities are greater than and more finite in their active relativity to the identity of hypersimultaneous, the identity of hyperrelativity. That will only gain. I'll trade. The republic for which we stand came with its campus systems. These are fire campuses. These are medical campuses. They have stayed abridged. Not the real medicine. These are people with the health care, the mental health care, psychiatry, tactically delusions raw. For example, experts on reason. I'm not a doctor, but I'll show you here. We can delineate their delusions from their criminally foreign influence, fact achieving natures and souls, boxing. You'll discern what has been on and off the state corrections offices, on and off the judicial offices of Connecticut, leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and since. Roles with tactically juxtaposed, distinct, not but grouped too, and together uses of the difference of when we're and how they're together or not, who knows each other or not, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and the intelligence, and the difference between the interbranch roles with switching names, sequences, names, putting fake things in databases. In other words, interbranch too, and the intelligence tied to them. These are intelligence with Sandy Hook campuses involved increasingly with these wire crime acts and methods. Weathersfield police with this, with other police departments and their families, retired police chiefs. There have been long stacking illusions and then covering them up with more as they were used remotely. Forgiveness is to stay on the acts. I noted predicate acts, they've been switching names on falsified police reports, Weathersfield police. And I never had a conversation. I never met Chris Walter's mother in my life. And I didn't speak with anyone at his wedding. I don't even know if that was a real wedding. There are intelligence community involved with him, involved with since I was a kid, with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and people from public schools and private schools. They never even had classes together, putting fake things in databases, involved with exploitations of the intelligence community's roles with child abusers, offenders of elderly homes, roles with their programs, the difference of that with that. And as the same ones involved in locations and next to veterans' homes. You can't see how the veteran homes were built the way New York was, only allowed to be able used to measure and maintain who was behind the American revolutions. Our founders had to hide their actual roles. Everyone had to pretend different motivations were what led up to the Constitutional Convention. We were told to get the Constitution unabridged. You guys are pretending things are debatable that are not. That's one of the things that slavery is about. That's one of the things. You're juxtaposed with criminally, with tactically delusions raw. Fact, human nature slaves roles, forcing it too. So the different forgiveness is to say on the predicate acts with facts, like leaving out how we have black pupils, white survive, and a breaching method to put that in place. They have that blamed right through our schools on other things other than themselves, while they have been keeping the subjects treatment sick, planting fake motivations. They're not really caring about the Palestinians or the Israelis. They're all we are over there, or Biden's doing it, or Trump's doing it, or Obama's doing it, etc. These are names uses not used only to prevent premises treatments, and they're preventing individual voices. They have roles with the WFSB attached me and others who were in the World Trade Center next to the towers in the Ninth Circuit Court right before the attack. They attached us to fake words about that, leading up to it in that context and since. As increasingly people each year at the campuses I went to had connections made before them. There, David Jail. Guitar this time, the whole guitar out. I hope you're doing well too. Happy New Year, everybody. Again, Joey, I don't know if you know. said jail, but Joe was a guitar pedal company, guitar processing. I don't know what they do actually. I know they make guitar pedals. I have to get a good sound going or something like that, like digital. Crazy. Okay, what are we gonna do for the world? This is how to fix the world. Hyper theater. See, they, in other words, we admit, in other words, you guys played out economies. Why, in other words, for example, why do we hunger? Why do we thirst? Not so we could go work for this, that, in other words, and then pretend that, in other words, that's reason or practical or adult or it's immature, to say it in other words. The nature of debate was and is used criminally foreign influence. These are things our founders communicated to us to communicate about. See Marbury versus Madison. We're going to see it right through criminally foreign influence takes on. We have to address the delusions of each branch of government. You guys came through campuses that gave you the wrong answers will cause slavery. A human fact, human nature breaching method caused slavery. That's what it caused it. That's one of the things that was true always. And it set up nature's demonstrations of that in the form of negative value nature progressions, acts of nature that no one wanted. Specifically to have them blamed on other things other than themselves. Because the breaching method showed them it would cause more too. And will increasingly only have that might and time finite power because you guys let it get away with it. It was proven after the World Trade Center attack in the Ninth Circuit Court. From inside the court, there had been post-dating of documents. There were also people with the name Scalora involved with sequence shifts and switching names, Wethersfield Police, and identity thefts and frauds, also as their roles with Hartford police families, including retired ones. These are people with the Sandy Hook campuses. Central Connecticut State University has roles with an English professors I have tied to Rocky Hill campuses. And everyone's speaking through others and themselves putting fake things with that. Fake conversation, fake ties, fake natures of ties between people. Sequence shifts that are interstates connected. This is the Connecticut District Court in 2006. It also has names that are involved with all sides of criminal and civil cases leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and sense, juxtaposed with other natures of organized crimes. So increasingly, you guys, they put roles with people in grammar schools and middle schools attaching kids that didn't even have classes to each other to fake ties and natures ties to other people. And they make little fake exceptions mixed in. And they lock that. In other words, they have people need to hide life progressions because there are a whole bunch of different countries involved with this and overt criminal enterprises and private ones. Even right in the news, listen to them talk. And they're talking about rats. They're all rats. Then you call them a rat and it makes you look like you had conversations with them. These are people putting fake transcripts with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with a whole bunch of different countries and child defenders, leaders of the kids, proven and more recorded then and now that I caught first, including the ones they forced that. Whiting forensics increasingly has people involved with the law and their motives, narratives used to hide the hyper extraterritorial. So motives are not important. They've also been lying too and using remotely the sense and sensibilities of judges, self value too, where they're blaming on other things other than themselves. Really, why people had to go to their website, like Judge Napolitano's website when he worked for Fox News, and still on Facebook, on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook though. Facebook has roles with people involved with investigating child abuses, elderly abuses, who have collusions, where this breaching method has collusions by what is said loud or not. Their descriptions of behavior experts from America to Russia to Ukraine to Japan to South Korea. They have collusions with criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, descriptions of reason, of humanity, and of logic, and of names, of their own and of other people's, while tactically delusions raw, using criminally foreign influence, fact, human nature, quality aspects in nature, hyper criminally foreign influence too. Right where it's a method that uses since semi ancient times before modern religions and reemployments of names A through Z as systems individually grouped in together. Now tactical terror from being able to discern how nature system uses how we are individuals of the species body, individual body of individuals. Group difference slash S come also with the difference of the other bodies, the other species bodies. Even the bugs have quality aspects in nature like ourselves. Consciousness, vaccines. Just things below. So please, there's a Judge Napolitano, Judging Freedom YouTube channel. Please ask him because he won't listen to me. Please get him to have the interbranch on the paper, one name and sequence. I need to pay. The teachers are also involved. Of an Anthony Yagman and his brother are involved. Also, a whole bunch of people with something to do with the people with the religious spots, and next to Fox Connecticut News, and next to the schools planting evidences, drugs and medicines crimes, roles with the police forms against it, and they're putting kids to fake uses of drugs. Their family members fake use of drugs, alcohol. They're putting fake things in databases, fake motivations. These are roles with various juxtaposed, tactically juxtaposed, totally distinct natures of organized crime at research locations, at polling campuses like Quinnipiac University. These are also people roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders that are KKK themed and black themed and sexual groups themed. Collusions, timed collusions, where they just do anything to keep people shut up. They're using the right to lie on a mass scale. You have a bunch of sick fakes who want their title to mean what it doesn't. There's also there's a YouTube channel called, I believe it's called Summary Judgment. And it's with one of the ones named Peruta. There are men and women with the name Peruta who are reportedly Russian and involved with Harvard Hospital and fire campuses with wire crimes and mail crimes. Or not mail crimes. I mean, my sixth grade class was it my fourth, fifth, and sixth grade class had roles of body dumping spots. People involved with their neighbors involved with that. And mayors and religious spots with religious nutbags involved with the principal child offender. And then people like pretending to have sense. Oh, why would you say religious nutbag? When you say things calm, they change what people say. There's a Trantolo in Trantolo who communicated that he changes what people say, and he makes things up, And he's also got tactical delusions too, I'm sure. But a Trantolo has roles with the Bravo Network, also with a police chief Cintron, also with a service ad placement. Now these are people wasting, they're involved with all kinds of scams against the people of Hartford. More than they're stealing more thousands every day. And there are only like 300 something streets in Hartford, Connecticut. All kinds of private companies scamming through it with it. Because of how fake it's been. So a whole bunch of people with the buildings next to the state capitol have roles with people named Cololo and Mayano, per Mayano and per Cololo at different times, or per Cololo's not per Cololo, per O'Brien, but they have roles with wire crimes with the police, planting evidences. It has something to do with their roles with Charlie Bowes and a whole bunch of people at Trinity College who have roles with the intelligence community with them. Further, with the Weathersfield campuses and Rocky Hill campuses and Hartford campuses and Cromwell campus, Central Connecticut State University, Trinity College houses next to them, the fire department next to them. These are people involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones right on Facebook, on off the state judicial branch offices and the state corrections offices recorded other than they could afford to have discerned, as people involved with the name Scalora, too, and further wire crimes of Weathersfield police confessions. And they're switching names, all kind of falsified police reports, intercities through times as collusions. Also with confessions per their sources, roles with murders and shooting from cars, as the ones involved with the wire crimes of the Cololo O'Brien. These are people when I was in first grade, they spied on me and spread lies about that in my second grade class. And and these are people tied to Central Connecticut State University and mayors and people tied to the mayors. Then they did it when I was in. They made a fourth grade class. Is one of the people tied to the people neighbors has neighbors of South Saviello. He's involved with Rich Dombrowski. They know, and people I don't that know my name. I don't even know their name. I don't even know those people. They sought me out to demonstrate, record, confirm. They also play these games where everyone speaks through others. These are people involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and a whole bunch of different natures of federal criminals before they were caught. People I never had classes with. And some of them, like South Seville, I never had one word of conversation with him when he was in my class in fourth grade. That's the only time I had class with him. And so his neighbor, like people with the name Faenza, that's on Two Red Highway. They're also involved on off the state judicial branch offices, and confirmed on Facebook his confessions about that with the body but don't be spot of Billy Grasso and people with the name Dillon, like a Kevin Dillon, who's also involved with people with the name Cololo and Kerr and Demora with home break-ins and planting evidences with people with police forms involved also with sexual and medical abuses of kids with inter religious spots, having parties and having everyone there and make it look like people know them. They make that exception. This is manifest all the time. I know what's going on. There are a whole bunch of people that work at Hartford Hospital involved with the names of wire crimes of the police forging and switching names with child offenders, and they have roles with untimely deaths. These are the people supposed to counter such things. They have roles of male and female leaders of the military at the spots next to the state capitol there too. Fear. Get them on paper. Follow one name in sequence for the black, white, female judges, because there are even on Facebook. It's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. KKK theme, black theme, Confederate flag theme. People involved with Joshua Julian with predicate acts on my street and roles with home break-ins and threats for roles with uses of it, also singularly used. They don't even understand. These are people on off the street, on off Webhouse, and how they changed the name of that. Roles with the sense and sensibilities for other, and corners of the street, names at corners of the street on Church Street and other houses on there. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with people with wire crimes, mail crimes, overt criminal enterprises and private ones. And they also share how they lied about about my behind my back to my teachers and with judges and prosecutors. They have roles with that. In other words, all kinds of Mr. Pruzzi. A whole bunch of people from Central Connecticut State University have roles with criminal enterprises, even if it's as under unmarked police forms, and unions too. Unions are used as criminal insidiousness nature, as volume, as your suits and ties, as your counters, as exceptions, black pupils, little rap guy and friends. So in other words, modern countries don't even remember the history of their languages properly. They don't speak for our founders properly. They left out their extortion. Otherwise, they blame that and blamed it on other things, others themselves, exactly wrongly, exactly the way the breaching method wanted. He needed them to get it wrong. It forced, hurt, and tricked semi-ancient countries' names to have to counter negative value nature, progression, acts, and natures of syntax nature, and physically, not knowing how to do it properly because not understanding why, or how couldn't not be able to fathom what was going on. There are proofs that a transnational organized crime body knew that it was going to get caught. So it did this. It forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded the names of humanity to use their names and other people's names in defense of themselves, regardless, and the names of the sciences simultaneously in ways they increasingly could not and cannot afford to go back and have demonstrated wrongly. Done someone like increasingly can't have afford discerned the revelations that come from the appreciation of how and why the sciences share an identity, and that is increasingly valuable to discern that because of how it uses exceptions and exception nature the ways we do. For example, as the order of the finite, as the order of what is active and or grouped things, and as the order of things that are simultaneously bound as the species is. It is individual finite grouped difference slash S and species, individual simultaneously, everything. And is what is greater and more finite than that. So, vaccine. Before the wars and people killing each other, as they're doing now in Israel and Palestine, I put that into the counter theater years before. Before they were doing this in Russia and in Ukraine, I put that into the counter hyper theater. And the same thing with see these things going on. That was to prove this because I've been asking every year since before the World Trade Center attack to report what I was asked for help from the courts and the FBI director. I didn't know the names yet. I don't know them all, but we could get them. But they switched names. The courts and the FBI and other police forms and foreign and domestic military, for example, intelligence. Central Connecticut State University has roles with criminal justice, for example. They have different departments. They have an English department. They have an acting department. They have two acting coaches or more involved with people on Church Street, with WTNH, with wire crimes, and roles with a whole bunch of different countries with Central Connecticut State University and with Trinity College, who got involved with names and planting evidences on Weathersfield, my house in on my street in Weathersfield, as names who had timed rules planting evidences at other places I lived in apartments temporarily. And before I even lived there, they had people involved next to the campuses, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, per how things are manifest, where and how they are being and have been used remotely, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, and pretending but other, as styles of logic, and as natures of logic that share quality aspects of nature, for example, names uses. So people have been preventing me and others from mentioning any of the whole bunch of different natures of predicate acts involved and connections between those names. That's where they leak things too. That's how I found out all this stuff connected to the colleges in the same house with the names tied to the one like a Phil Cololo. A Phil Cololo was involved with a Bob Chase, with writing forensics, with people when I was a kid. Now I was an adult, involved with the corners of streets near me, with the witness protection program, and with the Weathersfield Police and the FBI, and foreign and domestic military, little fakes with their about themselves and about others, and with the people tied to them too. Increasingly, people like there's another tied to a Mr. Abruzzi, my fifth grade teacher, involved with putting fake things in databases, with people involved with the work criminal enterprises and private ones, foreign and domestic medical families that are involved with intracultural and intercultural identity theft, fraud, slanders, which is one of the things simultaneously also that Black Pupils is about. In other words, we have space means that come out of nowhere like that, and to help the people of New York City, of the cities. So we're not going to leave out. We're not going to, oh, but look at it over there. That's how the breaching method talks. The suburbs were designed for torture, extortion, slavery. Who disbelieves? Get them on paper into one name and sequence, the Connecticut into branch. And I want a response for the confessions of the confirmations of the principal child abuser and the people involved with the untimely deaths and other things that brought that up. These are people involved at Trinity College and CCSU. Also, increasingly how they're involved with science teachers and the different sciences names and sense and sensibilities. No, they brought this up too on sequence shift. These are people involved in interstates timed right into the World Trade Center attack. Their confessions tied to this too. And this breaching method uses confessions distinctly from the church, distinctly from how governments use it, distinctly from how people A through Z through do. So it's relative. I'm talking about those kind of confessions. And when people are extorting you, they communicate one thing and say that and say and communicate that they're going to pretend other. That's why it's important to get them on paper, one name and sequence. Yeah, please, WFSB, do what's right. Get on paper. Get them on paper. Get this Trantolo and Trantolo off communications if he can't follow mandated law. Get them from the get the judges tied to him on paper, playing crime scenes with him. Now they have the networks involved with digital crimes, with more digital offenders of the kids, including more obscure pictures and uses of them roles on Twitter relative. The FBI has roles with people with the name Ian involved with that. Fear God. Get off the election spots too, in the fire campuses, and people with the name Delaferro and tied to the town line drive and those shopping centers, and like with this Mike Roberts with the intelligence community, people tied to the name Cololo. They have something to do with their roles with that. In other words, these are not legitimate military people. These are not legitimate state police people. These are not legitimate. Weathersfield, Rocky Hill Police, Hartford Police with them, Newington Police with them. Same house. Involved wire crimes, Weathersfield Police switching names. Pretend it's personal too. Sequence shifts. Same people involved with post-dating documents with names on all sides of the case involved with its organized crime. Two brought up with confessions by the police force switching names. At crime scenes roles. Fear. So we have more leader uses abuses of the kids, of the leaders of the kids too, that were recorded involved with it. So this keeps a bunch of little fakes pretending they're going to be they could be other. So they say, oh, it's Biden's fault, or oh, it's Trump's fault. Get on real premises, follow mandated law, and get out of the country. Then get out of your business. Then if you guys can't follow mandated law, and like for this summary judgment YouTube channel has the guy Peruta trying to associate himself with me apparently demonstrably while he's delusions wrong, criminally foreign influence with lawyers associated with the FBI director and the Weathersfield Police Chief Cintron, and 1 years ago is involved with the same house /S with wire crimes of them, other natures and methods of predicate acts. These are people also with their Facebook pages, little fake tough guys behind Facebook pages. And then they lie about what they think when people write, too. That's recorded, too. Get them on paper. That people with the name Joshua Stryker and Joshua Schumack involved with the people on the Joshua Schumack, his mother, involved with the Weathersfield Police Facebook page with child defenders, sexual and medical, and the policing of the medical at Hartford Hospital. A whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital involved with the Joshua Schumack and his mother with the Weathersfield Police. People involved putting me as a fake conversation with police when I was a kid and now as an adult. Get them on paper, one name in sequence with these men as police still, and the ones with the name Domain next to Fox Connecticut News, involved with the ones next to WTNH and WFSB with predicate acts with them too. Has something to do with their roles with the buildings next to there too. Fear. It's also Thaddeus Grabowski and other co-defendants of former director of the FBI. And their lawyer, again, the spots next to his house there. All kinds of corruption and scams and cram downs. Only 300 something streets in Hartford. Get out of your mind. Let them hide you from this wisdom, people. Get through the fakes and get them on paper. They cover up lie progression. They have people before they took oaths. They were criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. That's one who disbelieves that. Get them on paper. One name is sequence. We want injunctive reliefs for the people, and we'll give it to artistic until we can do it formally ourselves. It's a big difference if the whole country is behind helping, and president gives an injunctive executive order. In other words, with immigrant populations, that we're not the only country that has these problems. And see, when people speak about stability or trying to make instability the reasons, see the people that were killing each other because there was a hyper foreign body involved keeping itself means that way. Many pray. It was as simple as you can measure the money. It says complete possession of the natures of wealth. You guys are what this is discernible. There's hyper evidential to show this, but you guys can't afford a quality of fact nature of debate unabridged. And you need to pretend others simultaneously because you're involved with torture, extortion, and slavery. Pretend you care about what our fathers think, using that junk you learned, or try to use it, but use the actual premise, and let's examine this. You use actual premises. And when you try to do this, your arguments fall apart because black people, we have the same color eyes, different color eyes at the same time. This teaches about difference. Nature does. You guys did not. Vaccines. Parliament did it law. So one day we're reading statutes together. The lawyer of the police chief Cintron, one of the lawyers of the police chief Cintron, involved, and then the lawyer of the FBI director is also involved. Has something to do with their uses of Elm Streets in Rocky Hill and Weathersfield, with the people on off. Those are conjunctions to the Route 3. In conjunctions to that is the state judicial branch offices. These are people on the state corrections offices also, though. Note that word corrections. These are people putting fake conversations at crime scenes with the news media and interbranch locations at the same time as World Trade Center predicate acts at the same time when they were forcing the principal child abuser and cover ups the roles and uses of the untimely deaths with the people planting evidences on all sides of my house tied to this Kevin Dillon, Annie Dillon, and tied to mayors. Mayor Gold, 1 years before the people next to on up the state educational building. Get on paper, one name and sequence. Let's go. And don't lie about the time you wasted.